All right, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about a tool that promises to finally close that huge gap between how fast our brains think and, well, how slow our hands type. It's all about making the text on your screen actually keep up with the speed of your ideas.
You know that feeling, right? Your brain is just on fire with a brilliant idea, the perfect response to an email, or you're trying to map out a complex thought. But by the time you've clacked it all out on the keyboard, that spark, that momentum, it's kind of gone. That delay is the bottleneck we're talking about today.
In this slide, this just lays it all out perfectly. On average, we type at about 40 words per minute, but we speak, you and I, closer to 120. That is a massive 3x productivity gap hiding in plain sight. Just think for a second. What could you do if you could get all that time back? So, how do we actually bridge that gap? Well, let's get into the solution that's designed to do exactly that. And here it is, Wispr Flow. The promise here is incredibly simple. It lets you use that natural 3x speed advantage of your voice by turning what you say into clean, polished text, right where you need it, in any app. Now this quote is really important. It points to a fundamental shift in how we think about this stuff. See, instead of you having to carefully dictate like a robot to a machine, the machine is actually getting smart enough to listen to you, to understand the messy start and stop way we all actually think and speak. And that brings us to the first piece of real magic here, how it handles our imperfect, totally natural speech. This feature is called speech polishing. And look, it's not just transcribing your words, it's editing them as you speak. All those little ums and uhs and the times you start a sentence over, they just vanish, leaving only the clean, final message you intended to say. And here is a perfect example. You might say something like, we're gonna send you the next round on Friday. Actually, no, probably Monday, right? Any other dictation tool would type out every single one of those words, and you'd have to go back and fix it. But Flow, it gets it. It understands you're correcting yourself and just outputs the final thought. That is a total game changer. Okay, but all this speed is kind of useless if you're stuck in just one app, right? So let's talk about how this tool actually fits into your day-to-day workflow. And this part is absolutely crucial. This is not some separate app you have to open and then copy and paste from. No. Think of it like a layer that just works wherever you see a text box, sending a Slack message, writing a Notion, prompting ChatGPT, doing a Google search. It just works. And it's not just chained to your desktop. It follows you from your Mac to your Windows machine and to your iPhone so your workflow stays completely consistent. You can literally start an idea at your desk and finish dictating it on your phone as you're walking. That consistency is the foundation for what comes next. This is where things get really interesting. We're moving beyond just simple dictation now and into like full-on workflow automation. This is about making the computer truly work for you, using your voice as the trigger. The first tool for this is something called snippets. And the easiest way to think about it is like a text expander, but for your voice. You just create a short, memorable command, link it to a big chunk of text, and then just say the word to paste it instantly. So check this out. Instead of typing out that same introduction for the 10th time this week, you can just say intro myself and boom, this whole block of text just appears. Think of all those little repetitive things you type every single day. Gone. But what about text that's already written? Maybe something someone else wrote or something you typed earlier. This is where it starts to feel like you're talking to a real AI editor. It's called command mode, and you can just highlight text and tell it what to do. You can literally just say something exactly like this. You can change the tone, shorten a paragraph, fix grammar, even translate it, all without ever touching your keyboard for the edits. It is an absolutely massive productivity hack. And to make all of this feel completely seamless, the tool actually learns from you. It adapts to your world. So if you have a colleague with a unique name, you correct the spelling once and it remembers it forever. It builds your own personal dictionary, which just cuts down on so much friction over time. So let's zoom out for a second. When you put all of these pieces together, what does it actually mean for the way that you work? Let's just break it down. You're getting this massive productivity boost from so many different angles. It's not just about that 3 times faster input speed. It's about getting rid of all that tedious manual editing, cutting out repetitive typing, and maybe most importantly, it keeps you in the zone, in your workflow, in whatever app you're already using. And look, for some people, the impact is just profound. This isn't just some small, minor improvement. We're talking about a fundamental change in how you even interact with your computer. Which really brings us to the final question, and it's a big one. It's one thing to understand how the tech works, right? But the real power is imagining what it could do for you. Seriously, if you could get 3 times more done without typing, what would you create, or solve, or maybe just enjoy with all that extra time?